Welcome to the Texas Conflict Coach radio program. If you have ever experienced or engaged in destructive or unresolved conflict, then you know it leads to broken relationships, distrust, and damaging results. Our program will help you manage and resolve conflict effectively with strategies, valuable resources, and support. I am your host, Patty Porter. My guest hosts, Dina Zameta and Stephen Kotev, along with our guest experts, will share our experiences, raise your awareness, and give you food for thought. We will share with you problem-solving strategies no matter what your situation is. At work, with neighbors or friends, family, and as partners. Tune in or join in the conversation every Tuesday evening. Welcome back, listeners, to our Back to School series in August. We missed you, and we're glad to be back on the air. And what are we kicking off our series with? Well, we have The Future is Now, students using technology to expand peer mediation. Now, for decades, peer mediation programs have helped students all over the world resolve conflicts. And the new online peer mediation platform is on the cutting edge, combining technology and peer mediation, breathing new life into programs. So what does this mean for you, listeners? You're going to learn about the project's goals, resources, and how you can get involved in this innovative opportunity. Now, I actually have a panel tonight, so I'm very honored with three guests. Let me just mention who each one of them are. The first is Dr. Cynthia Morton, who is the OPMP, which is the Online Peer Mediation Project. She's the project leader. Kristen Woodward, Virginia's Fairfax County School District, and Karen DeVoogd from Fresno State University. Now, Cynthia, you might recall, some of you listeners, has been on our Back to School series before, and so I'm excited to have Cynthia back again with us. But she's worked in the field of education for over 26 years as a teacher, school counselor, peer mediation coordinator, peer educator, and virtual learning specialist. And for the last 8 years, she has trained peer mediation coordinators and students in the standards-based peer mediation model created by the National Association of Conflict Resolution. Our second guest panelist is Kristen Woodward, is a conflict resolution and mentoring specialist for Fairfax County Public Schools, and that's located in Fairfax County, Virginia. She has over 10 years' experience teaching conflict resolution skills and processes in K-12 and higher education settings. And Karen DeVoogd, and I'm going to spell that because I'm probably mispronouncing that, but it's capital D-E, capital V-O-O-G-D. And Karen is an experienced lecturer at California State University Fresno. She coordinated school-based peer mediation programs and facilitated staff development in conflict resolution with curriculum integration in Michigan. Now, Karen is the past director of the Mediator Mentors program, working with Dr. Pam Lane Garon at CSU Fresno. So, everyone, welcome to the program to kick off our Back to School series.
All Thank you, Patty.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Karen, can you pronounce your last name? I want to make sure I actually got that correct.
Oh, gosh. I was just going to let that go because it's just too hard. But it is DeVoogd.
DeVoogd. Okay, DeVoogd. So I want to make sure, listeners, that you are taking that away correctly. So very good. Thank you so much. Now, we do have guests in our chat room, and we have a Twitter feed that we are running right now, and we're using the hashtag ConflictChat. So we do encourage you, if you're in our chat room, to write your questions or comments. Thank you for joining us there. Or if you're in the Twitter feed, please also post your comments and questions there. And certainly any one of our guests will get back to you after the show if you have further specific questions, and we'll certainly give you all that contact information. So let's get started. And we're going to start with Kristen. And can you first of all just explain to the listener what is peer mediation?
Absolutely. Thank you, Patty. In order to answer this question, I think we need to talk about what is mediation. And mediation is a process whereby you have a trained mediator who is facilitating dialogue between parties in conflict. This trained mediator is in advanced communication skills, effective questioning, and identifying issues. So that, in a basic form is mediation. Now, peer mediation is with students. upper elementary to high school students who are also trained. They're advanced communicators. They're trained in effective questioning, identifying issues, problem solving. And what they do is they work with their peers to help resolve conflicts and create understanding. Now, it's important to note that peer mediators and mediators do not solve the problem for the parties. It is through their skills and techniques that they help the parties come to an understanding and then create possible solutions to move forward, whatever that would look like. So peer mediation occurs at the schools, elementary through high school, and it is coordinated typically by a school staff member who is also trained in mediation. It's worth to mention there are the Association for Conflict Resolution standards. So when a school staff member is trained, they should be following these standards, as well should the peer mediators. And the standards were published in 2007. They're actually on our website, which we're going to talk about later. And they came about because there were a lot of peer mediation programs popping up nationally and internationally, and there was a need for best practices and gold standards and guidelines for how do you run a program, how do you evaluate it, how do you implement it. And for students to be trained in peer mediation, the recommendation from the Association for Conflict Resolution standards is 15 to 20 hours. Again, peer mediation, just like mediation, has ethics, such as confidentiality, of course, with exceptions. It's voluntary nature. You can't force someone to go to peer mediation. It's an impartial, neutral party that is facilitating the dialogue. And it's self-determination. The parties decide their own outcome. It's not imposed on them. It is worth mentioning that there are cases not appropriate for peer mediation. So the school staff member who is trained in running the program, there's a screening process or an intake for cases that are not appropriate. And lastly, our platform that we're looking at for peer mediation, we're looking for middle schools, high schools, and college-age students to be a part of our online peer mediation platform.
Okay, and we're going to get into the specifics of the platform. Now, our listeners come from all over the world, so I would assume in talking about peer mediation and the two definitions that you gave is similar in other countries, whether that's Canada, Australia, Europe, or anywhere else. Is it very similar for the most part?
Yes, definitely. So mediation is what we call a form of alternative dispute resolution. We refer to it as ADR. And there are several ways to resolve conflicts. Mediation is one process. And the process, the steps of the process may change from school district to nation, but basically it's where you have a neutral individual trained in mediation, skilled communicator facilitating the dialogue between parties in conflict and then assisting them to come up with what the future looks like. And it's important to note that the success of a mediation should not be judged on if the parties come to an agreement. To me, when I'm doing training, I always talk about success being, the parties having their self-determination, what they want to see happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I'm glad you said that because a lot of listeners aren't going to know what that whole self-determination thing is. But basically what you're saying, it's really, again, it's not about the student saying, you must do this in order to fix the problem. They're not advising, they're not consulting, they're not trying to be better than the other student, but they're really using those skill sets as asking those questions, really asking them what's best for you and how y'all resolve this, and so they're doing it from that angle.
Definitely, and I'm so passionate about peer mediation because it teaches our youth how to resolve issues instead of them going to a teacher or an adult saying, solve it for me. They can solve it on their own when appropriate, and I think that helps to, as people grow up and become productive citizens of society, they're able to resolve their own conflicts. That's my hope.
That's a huge value right there. Okay, so we got a good foundation of what is peer mediation and also the age groups, because we're talking, is very surprising for some listeners who might say, wow, you do this in upper elementary school and, of course, all the way into college. And I imagine that, as many years as y'all has been doing this, I'm sure that you've had students that you taught back in elementary school or middle school or whatever who are now long graduated, maybe even married and have children, who say the impact of being part of that for them. And have you had any of those examples of students saying that to you, way back when they took that?
Absolutely. In Fairfax County Public Schools in particular, our peer mediation program has been going on for 25 years. This is actually our 26th year, and so I hear from high school students who were in elementary school that participated in the program, college students, and even professionals who are out using the skills, working in the field. They come back and they contact me. So it's impressive.
That must give you goosebumps when you hear those kinds of situations when they call you back. That's wonderful.
Yep.
All right, Cindy, so let's talk then a little bit about what does it mean to address and resolve these kinds of conflicts between peers, and then this whole concept of actually doing it online. So for years, as you just said, Kristen, we've been doing it in the schools, teaching peer mediation, students learning how to resolve their own conflicts without having to necessarily go to an adult. So, Cindy, if you can give us an example of what are the kinds of conflicts that might be appropriate, and then how are we moving? We're moving into online now, so let's talk about that.
Well, yeah, absolutely, Patty. I think in the spring I conducted an interview with 5 of my students who were actually part of the Online Peer Mediation Platform. And I really believe they said it best when they were talking about resolving conflict online and their agility in this whole digital world. One of my students, Ramar, who's a senior, said that he felt that students are really more comfortable in an online environment, and he felt that as we use an online peer mediation platform, that they may be more likely to share information that they might not actually share in a face-to-face session. And I thought about that, and I was like, you're right. Sometimes kids and adults, I will say, will overshare online things that they might not say to you face-to-face, whether that's emotions or it might be information. Another student, Tay, who was a junior, who will be back with me this year, said that, hey, students are using this technology anyway, so why not use online peer mediation? He said, Dr. Morton, it's the adults that have the problem, not us. And I was like, whoa, I was really blown away with their perceptiveness about using an online platform for conflict resolution. Tamara, and I want to say that this young lady is amazing. She is actually going to school in England, and she wants to take her skills over to England and use it, and wants to come back as a mediator mentor that Karen's going to talk about in a little bit. But she said that she felt the process was really quick and easy, and you're not waiting for this whole mediation process, like, when is it going to be, and, who's going to be my mediator, and do I have to wait on this person? So she felt like you didn't have to wait on all the moving parts, and she felt like students would be more drawn to that because it was quick and easy. And then Courtney, who is also graduating this year and who's going to come back and work with us, said that she was just happy to know that someone would have time for her and at the end of the day and would listen to her story, because sometimes she said people just don't take the time during the day and listen to students' problems and issues. Jada, if you ever go to the website, she is probably our central person, girls, right? She's the girl that we always go to for everything in our modules, which Karen will talk about. But she said that conflicts really should be addressed by using this forum because students are really more comfortable in this digital world, and that we need to really take advantage of this time and strike while we can. And then Courtney kind of just said one more quote that I want to share with the listeners. She said that training in mediation skills will give her an advantage over students who lack these skills in the future. She said doing this online is really preparing her to be college and workplace ready, and she just was really just complimentary about this whole process and being able to be to be ready, whether it's going to be a resident assistant in college or settling conflicts in the workplace, whether it's on a conference call or on the Zoom platform that we use a lot with the Online Peer Mediation Platform. So I just want to kind of add kind of that piece about use of agility, that there really is not kind of them that's the issue sometimes. It's kind of us, the adults, that have the fears with the digital world. And also, go ahead, Patty.
Go ahead, Cindy. Go ahead.
And also, I wanted to give you an example of some of the conflicts that we actually have done on the Online Peer Mediation Platform. We did 6 simulations back last summer. And some of the simulations we did were for example, we had a girl and a guy that were friends, and he took her phone, and she thought he stole it because he was going to sell it. But what happened was he saw a text that she got from a person that he knew was not good for her, and he kind of kept the phone, and he wanted to confront her about it, but then he got scared because someone said that he stole it. So they kind of came to a resolution about really what had happened, that he was just concerned about her. And then another simulation was 2 girls that had a rumor going on about them, and one girl thought the other girl was talking about her. Well, it really wasn't that. It was just another friend who was trying to cause conflict between the 2 of those. So those were some of the types of conflicts that we would actually be able to do online, not cyberbullying, not weapons or sexual harassment or anything like that. So we tried to do, like you would do in a regular mediation where it's name calling or, somebody took something, that kind of, as long as it's not huge property values and things like that, that would cause police to get involved. So, girls, did I leave off anything?
Oh, that's great.
No.
There's a really good example, and I'm also very glad that you gave the listeners some exceptions, because I know cyberbullying, sexting, I mean, it's just crazy out there what's going on with that. So I'm glad that you made a distinction, because I know in some states there's laws already put in place in how they're handling cyberbullying, sexual harassment, those kinds of things. So this is about other peer students handling these types of basic communication, misunderstandings, rumors, like you said, name calling, and so great way to do that. We're going to get into the specifics with Karen now about the Online Peer Mediation Platform, but before we do that, listeners, thank you again for tuning in to our Back to School series, and you are tuned into the Texas Conflict Coach radio program, and we invite you to follow us on Blog Talk Radio at the Texas Conflict Coach, and we also Twitter about the shows all of the time and sharing resources, and you can follow us at TX Conflict Coach, which is on Twitter. And so who we have with us today is Kristen, Cindy, and Karen, and they're leaders and team leaders on the Online Peer Mediation Platform. We'll give you that website in just a few moments. And Karen, so you're on the university side, and you deal with a lot of the mentoring stuff of it, so we'll certainly get into that. But can you just kind of give us an overview of what this platform is?
Absolutely, indeed. So this is a grant-supported project. So just thinking about who's on the call and where we all are, this is just a real nice little metaphor for what this work is, yeah? Because we're working in Georgia and California, Virginia, Texas. It's putting the world together in front of us, and this was, as I say, a grant-supported project that was first started through JAMS, Judges, Arbitrator, Mediation Services, and we were with Association for Conflict Resolution, and we're now being hosted and sponsored and stewarded by National Association of Peer Program Professionals. So, we've got our network actually cast very large. And what we put together, this is online. There are 4 parts. So there's a resource website, clearinghouse website, and if you go to that, and I know you're going to share that link here a little bit later, Patty, so I won't do that right now, but if you go to the website and you go underneath the tabs, one of them is resources, and we will link you directly to some powerhouses in the world of ADR, as Kristen was talking about, alternative dispute resolution, and Also under the resources link is research and best practice. And that's a really nice kind of a surgical spot to find stuff that's just related to peer mediation. Because I know a lot of the sites have a whole menu of things, and certainly this world is as big as the ocean, but the peer mediation is what we're focusing on really specifically. So when you go there, you'll be able to find the PDF for the research pieces, and so it should be very, very useful to people like college students who may be looking into opportunities to do research in the field. This will take you right there, and we welcome those folks to get involved with this work and to make this perhaps a future study, this platform and the whole setup. So that's the website. There's a lot of great stuff on there. We have the standards that Kristen referred to. They're linked right in there. We have link to curriculum that's used throughout the United States, throughout the world. So if that's something that you're interested in, just, hey, I kind of get it, I'm doing this stuff, but I'd like to see what else is out there, you can go to the website and find that. We've got a link to media. We're videotaping our simulations that Cindy described so beautifully, and we're creating videos of any outreach we've had or conversations we've had. So we want to make this as current as possible and useful to people that are trying to get into the world of mediation. So that's the one piece of it. But the other part that people have been describing, of course, that makes this so rock star cool is that this is a place where you can go. Let's say you've got a group of mediators who are already trained, but they need a chance to practice. You can come to our website. We will support them doing a simulation practice using a software called Zoom. So it's like Skype, but it puts everybody's face on the screen, if you can imagine that. And you would have two mediators and two disputants, and then behind the scene is a college student. It is an experienced mediator, and right now our partnership is with Fresno State's Mediator Mentors. So our college students are there. They know the process. They know kids well, and they're not seen on the screen, but they're there and they're present. So if things are not going well, they can pop in and assist. And the most important part of what they do is the aftermath, right? So the mediations happen. You get a chance to watch the video, and you get to think and talk with an experienced mediator to help you grow your skills. So that's a really exciting thing, and that's ready to go today. You know, if anybody wants to call in later and get something like that going, you know, we'd love to get that up and running. We have the experience of somebody who's done this with adults, Giuseppe Leone with Virtual Mediation Labs in Hawaii, and he's ready to go. We'd love to get more of that going. So another piece, hope I'm not talking too loud and too quick. But
no, you're good. You're
stuff,
good. Go
right?
ahead.
Okay. All right, I'll keep rolling here then. The other part is we're creating modules, training modules for anyone to access. Again, this is free and available. And these are 10 modules that will help you learn and understand peer mediation. So the first module outlines how to get your head around conflict, understanding conflict. And the second one is understanding peer mediation, as Kristen explained. And then the third module is about understanding active listening as a tool for mediation and attending. There's also one of the modules is about advanced communication skills and understanding positions and interests. And one of the modules helps you understand your perceptions and your biases that you bring to any conflict. One of them helps to understand needs and issues and really getting more aware of what's in front of you. It's not just two angry people, but they've got a whole backstory. One of the modules gets into ethics of the whole practice and this work of conflict resolution. One of the modules talks about, okay, what if this starts to get a little off track? How do you pull it back? So sort of fine-tuning. And then the last module is how to put a peer mediation online piece together. So all of those modules are going to be rolling out this fall, and we're looking forward to getting lots of hits and visits to the website to use those. As I said, they're available to you. Okay, the last part, which is really what I'm the most excited about, is offering peer mediation live online to people who are in real conflict, not just a simulated practice, but there's a real conflict happening. You don't have peer mediation at your school or in your community, but you want to have support. You're a high school student, maybe you're a college student, and you need this third party to listen and help you resolve your conflict. And then we would put you in touch with trained mediators and put that whole Zoom conference together and help you resolve the real stuff in real time. So that's it. That's sort of the peek under the hood there.
And that's I like the quote, a rock star cool platform, right? It's like it is. Your website's really incredible, folks. peermediationonline.org is the website. So if you're listening right now, you want to go there, and we've already been putting out tweets about the website. It's peermediationonline.org. So just a quick summary of this rock star cool platform, okay, everyone? So if you are a student and you're like, man, I took that peer mediation course, but I haven't had a chance to do a lot of cases, and I really want to practice. Guess what? Simulation platform. That's what Karen was just saying. If you are a college student and you want to mentor and you want to apply what you've already learned over the years and you want to mentor and be part of that in the background of those simulations, Karen, of course, will be the primary contact. Again, you would go through peermediationonline.org. Now, let's say that you are a teacher and maybe you already have a peer mediation program. Here again is a great platform to not only get curriculum resources, standards, best practices, etc. And if you're a parent of a student, go on there and look at the media. There are a number of videos that have been taken of the students talking about how this has either helped them or maybe they were the mediator themselves. And so some really good videos that you can watch very quickly to learn about that. And, of course, as Karen mentioned, there's the training modules, but especially, and I think you're trying to launch this soon, like maybe 2017, with the peer mediation services, so that these are actually accessible to anyone. And just to clarify, accessible in the United States, or is this other countries internationally, or are we just talking about U.S. right now?
Well, actually, Patty, we're talking about internationally. We've had people from Israel, Poland, England, India to contact us. So the word's getting out, and students are everywhere, and they're online.
So that means, let's just say that there is a student in Kristen's program in Virginia, and she's a mediator that would then, let's say, co-mediate with somebody else. Let's just say it's in the States, in Florida, with two students from another school in another state. Are you saying it can work that way?
Absolutely, and that is what we're most excited about. I mean, my students mediating a situation in California, they are so excited about that possibility. So, yes, that can happen.
Okay, so folks are listening in. Again, they can be a parent, a student, a teacher, an admin, any one of the above that we've talked about, that this can be a great value to. So how do they get involved, and what are those next steps?
So for next steps for, school staff, say at a middle school or high school, or even college-age students, the website that we've been talking about is a great resource, and it has our contact information there. And Patty, as you mentioned, programs that are just starting, and if they need training, the training modules will be available in the fall, or if they need practice, there are the simulations available. And so these, going to the website, it's free because we are funded by a grant. And so that's one way that, program coordinators can start to get involved.
And then mediation trainers, we are really reaching out to those folks because they're the connections between the school and how to get the students trained. And we would love to host webinars with those mediation trainers. They can request a video conference with us. We will also host webinars in the future that will help mediation trainers get started. So we are now building a catalog just to help trainers and coordinators and people who are working with students. So that is forthcoming as well.
Okay, great. And if someone's a college student wanting to mentor, what would be their next step? Is there an application process, or?
Shoot me an email. Again, this is Karen at Fresno State, and just shoot us an email. We'd love to get you connected with first off, to find out if you're doing some work in peer mediation already, maybe you would like to extend the peek into the work and get involved with research. But if you want to be a mediator mentor, that is that behind-the-curtain support person, we would connect you with one of our Fresno State students who will support you and sort of help you through a couple simulations, and then away you go. You can be one of our certified peer mediator mentor helpers online. So
you just said something that you just said something I wanted to clarify, Karen. So they don't have to be a Fresno college student to be a peer mediator mentor.
No, they don't, not necessarily. So there are a lot of universities, a lot of colleges and universities in the United States that already have mediators trained. Either they work on campus or they're involved with community mediation, and they're looking for another place to grow their skills, to give, to share their knowledge, and they could become a mediator mentor. They could figure out how this platform works. They could, again, we would help them through working with one of our folks that have already worked in the platform, and her name is Alexandria Eleo. She's wonderful, and she's willing to, work before the meeting, after the meeting, during the meeting to help people see how to use this process. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to make sure listeners know that there's definitely some opportunities, even if you're not specifically a student at Fresno College there. So,
right.
All right. So you mentioned, Cindy, that this was from a JAMS grant, because this is a lot of work that y'all put together. This is, I know, y'all were talking very heavily about that in Reno when we were all at the Association for Conflict Resolution conference, and you were working on it much sooner than that. And now, the baby has been born, and you're moving forward. But like grants, they end and funding goes away. So what do you need? What do y'all need as a team to carry the torch forward, if you will?
Well, that's a wonderful question. Well, first of all, we just need students. So that is one of the very first things that we're looking for is schools that are innovative and want to step out of the box. We will definitely love to talk to those schools. We will even talk to the administration in the schools, because a lot of times they have questions about, well, is this safe? And we do want to address that, that this is safe and that we never have, our team never has interaction with the students. It's only the trainer and the mediator mentor and the coordinator. So that's one thing that we need. We need the warm bodies. And I'm sure we need other things, right, Karen and Kristen, besides warm bodies.
Indeed, we are looking for people that hear this, that get it. Maybe you don't even get it, but they understand the importance of this work, of reaching a broader audience, helping to grow a skill set of civil conflict discussion, civil conflict resolution. Maybe you have connections to other programs in your community that could come alongside us and be a partner and help network with us. And if there are donors that you know of just looking for such a worthy cause as this, we would love to get to know you and have you come and help us to grow this forward.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited about all the work that y'all have done to move this into a whole new technology world. This is very exciting because, I know peer mediation programs have kind of come and gone in a lot of schools. Some have had long sustainability. Kristen, as you mentioned, 25 years. Mm-hmm. I know here in San Antonio we've had peer mediation actually associated with the court program, community mediation program, for many years. But you know that there's a lot that come and go that have not been able to sustain funding. So I know how difficult that is, and so listeners, if any of you are interested in whatever way that it is, whether you're using it as a resource or can contribute, whether that's financially or even in your time and volunteer hours, do go to peermediationonline.org. All right, so before we go into our closing here, was there any other burning comments that any of the three of you wanted to make before we start to move into closing?
Well, I would like to say that this is a growing, living, breathing entity, and we don't know where it's going to go. So if the listeners have ideas, we want to hear how this platform can actually be used, because it's really just started. When we started a year ago, the things that we're doing now we'd never imagined doing. So we know that this will continue to grow and evolve over time.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. All right. So listeners are very aware of our, when we close, we usually give them some type of call to action or a field work assignment. So what do you have for our listeners tonight?
Yes, we actually have an assignment, and that assignment is to actually go to our website, the Online Peer Mediation Platform, which it was not called that, but it's the Online Peer Mediation .org. I always have to think about that. And look at our information, and if you're interested, after you look at the videos, the simulations, please feel free to request a video chat or a webinar. We will put it on for small groups, individuals who are really wanting to know more about this platform and how it works. So that's our call to action for tonight.
Okay, and just to confirm again, it's peermediationonline.org, all one word, no spaces, no dashes. And, of course, all the information is also on the TexasConflictCoach.com website. Any upcoming informational webinars that are happening right now that you want to make folks aware of?
Well, we don't have a specific date for one, but we will have one coming up possibly in September. What we like to do is we like to find out how many people are interested, and then if we have 3 or more, we typically do a webinar or a video chat, and we have about 2 people now, so we're about at that point. So we're looking at September having another webinar or video chat.
Okay, and I also saw that you have a blog that people can, sign up for, I believe, and so that would be another way of getting active posts. And you can also follow this team on Facebook and Twitter, and their Twitter handle is at OP, like in peer, M for mediation, P like in, I'm not sure, platform, okay? OPM team, TEAM, is the Twitter handle. And, all right, so any final message then you would like to leave with our listeners?
Well, I'm going to close, and we actually, the 3 of us came up with this kind of closing statement because we believe that although we as adults may fear technology, our students are digital natives, and it's imperative that we provide them with a platform that allows them to thrive and flourish in this uncharted digital landscape that they find themselves in. So if we don't kind of provide them some directions, they're going to find their own, and we'd rather for it to be safe directions.
A wonderful message. I love that. Thank you so much, Cindy, Karen, and Kristen, for joining us and educating our listeners about this wonderful resource and platform, and we look forward to seeing how it's growing. Good night, everyone. Thank you, listeners, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patty.
Thank you for listening to the Texas Conflict Coach. We hope you enjoyed the program. You can find all of our podcasts archived to listen at your convenience at TexasConflictCoach.com or download the podcast at iTunes or Stitcher Radio. You can also become a Facebook fan of Conflict Connection or Twitter me at TexasConflictCoach.